White horses have a special significance in the mythologies of cultures around the world. They are often associated with the sun chariot, with warrior heroes, with fertility, or with an end-of-time saviour. But other interpretations exist as well. Both truly white horses and the more common grey horses, with completely white haircoats, were identified as white by various religious and cultural traditions. Betrayal in myth. From earliest times, white horses have been mythologized as possessing exceptional properties, transcending the normal world by having wings, or having horns. As part of its legendary dimension, the white horse in myth may be depicted with 7 heads or 8 feet, sometimes in groups or singly. There are also white horses which are divinatory, who prophesy or warn of danger. As a rare or distinguished symbol, a white horse typically bears the hero, a god figure, in ceremonial roles or in triumph over negative forces. Herodotus reported that white horses were held as sacred animals in the Achaemenid court of Xerxes the Great, while in other traditions the reverse happens when it was sacrificed to the gods. In more than one tradition, the white horse carries patron saints of the world. Saviour in the end times is associated with the sun. A sun chariot bursts into existence in a fantastic way, emerging from the sea, or a lightning bolt. Though some mythologies are stories from earliest beliefs, other tales, though visionary or metaphorical, are found in liturgical sources as part of preserved, ongoing traditions. Mythologies and traditions. European, Celtic. In Celtic mythology, Rhiannon, a mythic figure in the Mabinogian collection of legends, rides a pale white horse. Because of this, she has been linked to the Romano-Celtic fertility horse goddess Epona and other instances of the veneration of horses in early Indo-European culture. White horses are the most common type of hill figure in England, though many are modern. The Uffington white horse at least dates back to the Bronze Age. In Scottish folklore, the Kelpie, or Echuisge, a deadly supernatural water demon in the shape of a horse, is sometimes described as white, though other stories say it is black. Greek. In Greek mythology, the white-winged horse Pegasus was the son of Poseidon and the Gorgon Medusa. Poseidon was also the creator of horses, creating them out of the breaking waves when challenged to make a beautiful land animal. Norse. In Norse mythology, Odin's 8-legged horse Sleipnir, the best horse among gods and men, is described as grey. Sleipnir is also the ancestor of another grey horse, Grani, who is owned by the hero Sigurd. Slavic. In Slavic mythology, the war and fertility deity Svantuvit owned an oracular white horse. The historian Saxo Grammaticus, in descriptions similar to those of Tacitus centuries before, says the priests divined the future by leading the white stallion between a series of fences and watching which leg, right or left, stepped first in each row. Indo-Ugric. One of the titles of god in Hungarian mythology was Harda, who, according to an unconfirmed source, wears pure copper and is a metalsmith. The Hungarian name for god was, and remains, Histon, and they followed Septengriism. The ancient Magyars sacrificed white stallions to him before a battle. Additionally, there is a story that the Magyars paid a white horse to Moravian chieftain Svatopluk I for a part of the land that later became the Kingdom of Hungary. Actual historical background of the story is dubious because Svatopluk I was already dead when the first Hungarian tribes arrived. On the other hand, even Herodotus mentions in his histories an Eastern custom, where sending a white horse as payment in exchange for land means casus belli. This custom roots in the ancient Eastern belief that stolen land would lose its fertility. Iranian. In Zoroastrianism, Zoroastrianism, one of the three representations of Tishtria, the hypostasis of the star Sirius, is that of a white stallion. The divinity takes this form during the last 10 days of every month of the Zoroastrian calendar, and also in a cosmogonical battle for control of rain. In this latter tale, which appears in the Avestas hymns dedicated to Tishtria, the divinity is opposed by Aparosha, the demon of drought, which appears as a black stallion. White horses are also said to draw divine chariots, such as that of Edvisura and Ahita, who is the Avestas divinity of the waters, representing various forms of water. Her 4 horses are named wind, rain, clouds, and sleet. Hindu white horses appear many times in Hindu mythology. The Vedic horse sacrifice or Ashvamedha was a fertility and kingship ritual involving the sacrifice of a sacred grey or white stallion. Similar rituals may have taken place among Roman, Celtic and Norse people, but the descriptions are not so complete. In the Puranas, one of the precious objects that emerged while the devas and demons were churning the milky ocean was Ucha-Ashravas, a snow-white horse with 7 heads. Ucha-Ashravas was at times ridden by Indra, lord of the Devas. Indra is depicted as having a liking for white horses in several legends. He often steals the sacrificial horse to the consternation of all involved, such as in the story of Sagara, or the story of King Prithu. The chariot of the solar deity Surya is drawn by 7 horses, alternately described as all white or as the colors of the rainbow. Hayagriva, the avatar of Vishnu, is worshipped as the god of knowledge and wisdom, with a human body and a horse's head, brilliant white in color, with white garments and seated on a white lotus. Kalki, the 10th incarnation of Vishnu and final world saviour, is predicted to appear riding a white horse, or in the form of a white horse. Buddhist Kantharka was a white horse that was a royal servant and favorite horse of Prince Siddhartha, who later became Gautama Buddha. Siddhartha used Kantharka in all major events described in Buddhist texts prior to his renunciation of the world. Following the departure of Siddhartha, it was said that Kantharka died of a broken heart. Abrahamic, Jewish. The Book of Zechariah twice mentions colored horses. In the first passage there are 3 colors, and in the second there are 4 teams of horses pulling chariots. The second set of horses are referred to as the 4 spirits of heaven, going out from standing in the presence of the Lord of the whole world. Quote, they are described as patrolling the earth and keeping it peaceful. Christian in the New Testament. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse include 1 seated on a white horse and 1 on a pale horse. The white horse carried the rider conquest, while the pale horse carried the rider death. However, the Greek word chloros, translated as pale, is often interpreted as sickly green or ashen gray rather than white. Later in the book of Revelation, Christ rides a white horse out of heaven at the head of the armies of heaven to judge and make war upon the earth. 2 Christian saints are associated with white steeds. St. James, as patron saint of Spain, rides a white horse in his martial aspect. St. George, the patron saint of horsemen among other things, also rides a white horse. In Ossetia, the deity Uastadji, who embodied both the warrior and sun motifs often associated with white horses, became identified with the figure of St. George after the region adopted Christianity. Gesta Francorum contains a description of the First Crusade, where soldiers fighting at Antioch claimed to have been heartened by a vision of St. George and white horses during the battle that came out from the mountains. Also, countless armies with white horses, whose standards were all white. And so, when our leaders saw this army, they recognized the aid of Christ, whose leaders were St. George, Mercurius, and Demetrius. Islamic culture tells of a white creature named Al-Buraq who brought Muhammad to Jerusalem during the night journey. Al-Buraq was also said to transport Abraham when he visited his wife Hagar and son Ishmael. According to tradition, Abraham lived with one wife in Syria, but Al-Buraq would transport him in the morning to Mecca to see his family there, and then take him back to his Syrian wife in the evening. Al-Buraq isn't mentioned in the Quran but in some Hadith literature. 12 Shia Islamic traditions envisage that the Mahdi will appear riding a white horse. Far East, Korean. A huge white horse appears in Korean mythology in the story of the kingdom of Silla. When the people gathered to pray for a king, the horse emerged from a bolt of lightning, bowing to a shining egg. After the horse flew back to heaven, the egg opened and the boy Park Hyuk-jias emerged. When he grew up, he united 6 warring states. Philippines. The city of Pangantucan has as its symbol a white stallion who saved an ancient tribe from massacre by uprooting a bamboo and thus warning them of the enemy's approach. Vietnamese. The city of Hanoi honors a white horse as its patron saint with a temple dedicated to this revered spirit, the White Horse Bac Ma Temple. The 11th century king, Lai Kong Yuan, had a vision of a white horse representing a river spirit which showed him where to build his citadel. Native American. In Blackfoot mythology, the Snow Deity Isa Yimstan is a white-colored man in white clothing who rides a white horse.